Before you get started, one of the things I want to make very clear to everybody in the city of Moscow, and anybody that's watching this, and whether you're in the room or not, one thing I'll say about the airport realignment that we do know, if we don't do it, we will definitely lose air service in Moscow Pullman. Yes, there's an airport in Lewiston, and yes, there's an airport in Spokane. We also have to look at that as what kind of an impact that will have on our economy as a region and our two universities. And so the decision that's made tonight is not necessarily an easy decision. And make no mistake out there, folks, these counselors up here, we have talked and hammered this discussion out with city staff and others for a while now. And there's nothing here that we take lightly. We're very, very serious about these counselors. Are well prepared, and they ask good questions, and we'll move forward. So I want to make certain that the public knows that this isn't something that we take for granted, this council takes for granted, because they worked very, very hard on it. And one of the things, and I'll save this for the council, they were elected sometimes to make tough decisions, and that's what's in front of us right now is tough decisions. Gary, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
The only one to answer a couple of comments. First of all, that our entire property tax receipts to the city of Moscow amount to far less than 50% of just the general fund. So when you talk about 11.25% increase, it isn't the expenses of the city going up 11.25% because that isn't our only revenue source. Secondly, the question for Mr. Bowman about sales tax, you all know that answer for the edification of the public. Sales taxes at the local level, local option sales taxes have been discussed for the 22 years I've been in this position with the city of Moscow, and far beyond that. We cannot get state authorization to do that. We would love to do that. We'd like to tax the folks that come in and use our parks, sleep in our hotels, drive on our streets, and be able to tax the people who actually use the infrastructure. We're not allowed to do that. We will continue to lobby for it, as we have virtually every year that I've been here. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Discussion for council. Wayne, you had your hand up earlier.
Gary mentioned it. It had to do with Mr. Bowman's comment about why can't we just hook it onto the sales tax. That's local option taxing, and we've been talking about, well, I've been doing this for 7 years, and that's one of my biggest complaints with our state legislators. They will not give us the ability to do local option taxing. And we could do so much more with local option taxing. We could have less property tax increases. We could put it on the backs of the people that are coming through the community. They're utilizing our services. They're riding our buses, and they're not paying a dime to do it. But if we could get some local option taxing done, that would help. But right now, it's our state legislators don't seem to want to turn loose with that. So, yeah. That's what I was going to say. John wanted to.
John? I'll go to John, then I'll go to Tom.
Gary, would you bring up just one of the previous, that one's good.
Okay.
If, for example, the tax bill were to go up 11.5%, we would be adding $130 to the tax bill. Is that correct?
$130 to the $300,000
$150,000 home. No. If taxes were going to go up,
it would
11%.
Go up about 11.5, go about $35. Don, is my calculation correct?
He's talking about the total one.
I'm talking total, Gary. The amount the customer or the citizen has to write their property tax check. The amount would go up instead of going up.
Go to the go up page.
Yeah.
That guy?
That guy.
Yeah. If we're talking, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the amount that the citizen is going to have to write their check for is not going to be 11.5% greater in 2015 than it is in 2014. It will be roughly about, at the most, 3%.
Precisely.
Okay.
Tom, you had a,
I wanted to look at the slide again where you're saying
Which one?
the.
Just tell me which one you want.
Earlier, the 11, you had the 11.25, but the city impact of
Broke it
that,
down.
where you broke it down, before that one before that one. That one. Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. So the total, our impact on the property tax increase is 1.17%, not 11.25%.
I can trust
of
the
total.
calculations by the finance director, that's correct.
So this is what I was trying to get
Donald,
to.
is that accurate? Okay.
That's why he's got plaques on the wall.
He's got plaques up there. The other question I had was the city pool levy, when does that expire?
2018, I believe.
18, okay. So,
And if the city does not choose to incur any more general obligation debt, we will have no general obligation debt at that point.
and that's the so could you go on to the next slide from this? So that's the City of Moscow bond, the 3% is?
Yes.
That's the pool right there. So that goes away in 2 years.
Exactly.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. Okay, those were my two questions.
Arthur, we haven't heard from you down that, and nobody gets unscathed tonight,
Right.
Art, so.
I'm thinking more philosophically about the whole thing, and especially Victoria's comment about taxes are not a fun thing, but they are necessary and they are beneficial if they're spent wisely and appropriately on various projects. And I think it's also incumbent on this body and the city in general not to look just at the immediate horizon of funding and taxing. We have to look into the future, 20, 25 years, and what would an airport realignment mean for the community 25 years from now versus not having one. And to me, it's very much akin to the interstate highways and things. They were expensive in the beginning, but the amount of return that was eventually generated was fantastic. And I think the same thing applies to the airport. Communities without reasonable air service and commercial-scaled airports are going to fade away off the map, and it doesn't behoove the towns or the universities to neglect this opportunity to realign that runway, increase service, increase reliability. Further, the city needs to pay attention to the very basics, the water, the sewer, the fire protection, police, parks, roads, and part of that is providing for police, and to have an understaffed department is not appropriate for the city. We want to maintain what we have here, where news of record is full of minor pilferage and vandalism and not murder and mayhem in general. And part of that is a good police department that keeps the lid on things, and we need to fund that. And those are the two big chunks that we're looking at here, of why we're looking to increase taxes, not 11%, but 1.1% of what you're writing your tax bill for. I'm always cautious as a scientist of thinking anything about percentages, because percentages lie like bad rugs, and you can make a percentage tell you anything you want. So I would rather us look at the actual impact on the bottom line rather than quoting percentage increases, because that's a path to all manner of peril. So that's what I have to say about those issues at length.
Wayne's got something, then I'll come to you, Walter. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go back and reiterate one area that I talked about. When we first went into the recession, which was actually about 2008, wasn't it? You know, and through attrition is when we lost our police officers. We didn't lay anybody off, but we didn't hire anybody because we did not, at this time, this council said, we're not going to take a 3% increase. We were in a recession. We knew times were tough, and that's why over those next following 3 or 4 or 5 years, we haven't taken the 3%. The county did. I'm thinking maybe the county was a little smarter than we were, because now they're not playing catch-up. Now they look like the good guys, and we look like the bad guys. But it's caught up with us. And, you know, if we had taken the 3% in 2008, we could have hired those 2 officers. And we wouldn't be doing what we're trying to do now. So I really do. I feel like we are playing I think we are playing catch-up. As far as the airport is concerned, I cannot fathom allowing that airport to lose its FAA certification and losing all passenger and commercial air service. It would turn into a Colfax airport, an ag, and a private industry. Now you say, well, we have the Lewiston Airport, we have the Spokane Airport. You go to Spokane, you probably go up and spend the night, or you leave at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully it's wintertime and the roads are not bad, and you pay $7 or $8 a day for parking. Or you go to Lewiston, and we hope that the weather isn't bad when we go down to Lewiston in the wintertime and back. The last numbers that I looked at, and Bill, you might be able to confirm this one way or the other, the last numbers I looked at on boardings at the Moscow-Pullman Airport, the percentage of increase in boardings was greater than the percentage of increase in boardings at Lewiston.
That's correct.
If you have used our airport, which I have for traveling, when you get there, the terminal almost isn't big enough now to handle all the people that want to get on the planes. It's being used, and if you haven't tried this airport, if you're flying by Alaska Horizon, it'll cost you $20 more for a ticket than it will if you go to Spokane or Lewiston. $20. And I can tell you, it was sure a lot nicer flying into Moscow and getting in at 6:30 at night and just driving 15 minutes to get home. So I cannot fathom not having this airport, and I've said this, and I'm going to go on public record as saying this, is I will not allow myself, part of my legacy of being on this city council, of being part of the council that flushed that airport down the toilet. I would have a really hard time going for $6 million like Walter's talking about if the other entities didn't step up to do it. We would really have to rethink this really, really hard. And we could, even the $2.5 million, the foregone that we're taking for that, we could back that out if we had to. If push came to shove and nobody else funded it and we were the only ones, and I don't even believe that that's going to be the case, we could back that out.
I want to make one comment clear. The county is good guys.
Yep.
And ladies. This isn't about a city. This is not a city versus a county or a county versus a city. I want to make that perfectly clear. For crying out loud, we're all residents in the same fine county that we're in, and most of us in this city. So I just wanted to make that statement. I don't think Wayne wanted to come across that way, but I wanted to make sure.
I said that. I thought they were smarter than we were.
Well, Dick back there is feeling pretty good about that right now, Wayne. But the point is there's a lot of things we work together on, and that's the point I'm trying to make, Wayne. Other conversation? Walter, you had something you wanted to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to thank the Lewiston Daily Effort, Morning Tribune, for the headline they ran recently. We had 3 people come forward and speak at the budget public hearing tonight, which is 3 more than we have a lot of years. I made a comment recently to a county commissioner that and you've heard me complain before that the public doesn't turn out, that they don't come and talk to us to tell us what they think. And he informed me that that's what they elected us for, that we're supposed to be the ones to know how to handle this and shouldn't have to. The inference was that we shouldn't have to continually expect daily input from the public. I'm still trying to get my brain wrapped around that one a little bit. One other email that we got that Gary probably wasn't forwarded, it came to all the council, and if I may read it, from Jim Fazio, said, "Gentlemen, regarding the potential of an 11% property tax increase, the Daily News," it was the Tribune, quoted Walter Steed as saying he is, quote, "unsure of any other way to fill the budget's gaps," unquote. I might suggest one, tightening the city's belt. Learn to say no to some of the admittedly good projects that are continuously proposed. Property taxes are smothering the life out of us, especially those of us who own business property in town. The reason, and I was accurately quoted in the newspaper, I've never been one to complain of being inaccurately quoted. Sometimes I have to correct some facts, but the newspapers over the years have been very, very fair with me. But I was not about to, on an evening phone call from a reporter, start enumerating ways the city of Moscow could save money. I didn't want to start that discussion in a morning newspaper within the same week that the council was going to have this budget workshop. I do feel that the city of Moscow spends money that it doesn't have to. It doesn't add up to millions of dollars. But when we spend recently $16,656 for 7 solar-powered garbage cans, I'm questioning, like, what? And I've yet to find out that any type of return on investment analysis was done before that purchase. We've even had somebody complain to us about the looks of them, not the cost. I saw a TV show talking about that particular garbage can, and I thought, that's a really cool idea. It was from Philadelphia. It talked about how much money they were going to save by not having to pick them up, except when the garbage can called somebody and said, I'm full, come get me, as opposed to servicing them daily, weekly, or whatever it was. I thought it was a great idea. Personally, as a business person, I would have looked in how much can we save before I spent the money. My point is that the city spends money sometimes because apparently we have it. I've been the 5-1 vote on budget, I think, for 6 of the 7 years that I've had these, sat up here for these budget hearings. I guess I'm probably going to go tonight and do it one more time. Thank you, Mayor.
John?
Bill probably rode this horse about far enough. I'd make a motion that we accept the FY2015 City of Moscow annual appropriation in the amount specified, and all of the things that it implies, if that makes any sense. Pass the budget.
Your Honor, if I may, have you closed the public hearing yet?
No, yes, it did.
Yeah, you did a while ago.
Yeah, thank you.
Public hearing was closed, and we've been in the discussion process. If Don missed that, I'm sorry. Did you get it on there,
Okay, good.
Seth?
Should ask Steph, sorry.
If I can paraphrase the motion then?
What's
Go
that?
right ahead.
If I'm allowed to paraphrase the motion, John, did you intend on asking the council to approve the annual appropriation ordinance and under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete separate readings and read by title, published by summary at this phase?
That's good.
Thank you.
That's what he did.
Stephanie's got a point of order.
That'll be the
I'll
second
second
motion.
but
Separate motion.
I'll second John's, if somebody else hadn't already.
Nobody had,
I was
Dan,
going to,
so
but you can.
John Weber made the motion, Dan
I'll
seconded that
second.
motion.
I did too earlier.
And that was for the approval of the FY 2015 City of Moscow's annual appropriation ordinance. Upon consideration and testimony presented, to approve the ordinance under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and it be read by title and published by summary. Is that what you said, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was what the motion is, and a second by Dan. I'll start with Art.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
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 Okay, note that that vote was 5-1 in favor of it, so that ordinance, now I will read it before we move on. 12, I couldn't hear you, Seth.
12.
Number 12.
Okay. This is ordinance number 2014-12, an ordinance entitled Annual Appropriations Ordinance, approximating $59,751,430 for the purpose of defraying all necessary expenses and liability of the City of Moscow, Latah County, State of Idaho, for the 2015 fiscal year beginning the first day of October 2014 and ending the 30th day of September 2015, and allocating resources by fund for said appropriation for the objects and purposes set forth in this ordinance. levying ad valorem taxes in the amount of $5,195,775 for the 2015 fiscal year, providing that the provisions of this ordinance be deemed severable, providing for this ordinance to be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now we need a motion to authorize your execution of the L2.
Dan?
I'd make a motion that we authorize the mayor execute the L2 property tax certification in the aggregate amount of $5,195,775.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion was made by Dan to authorize the mayor's execution of L2 property tax certification in an aggregate amount of $5,195,775, and seconded by Tom Lamar. And I will start the roll with John.
Aye.
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 Make note that that passed 6-0.